welcome in everybody. Really appreciate you time to sign up and attend our webinar today. I'm Austin Culp. I'm joined here by Richard Dixon. We're with Inflow CX. Really excited today to bring you a webinar on some Genesys admin training. So if you're a Genesys admin out there, we're going to be talking about leveraging common modules today. We've also got a few more upcoming webinars. In fact, one is next week. We're going to be talking about redefining customer experience. So looking at the power of AI when you think about quality management, as well as on April 9th, we got a fireside chat, which is around navigating outsourcing partnerships. So a lot of contact centers I know outsource some or all of their interactions today. How do you navigate either doing that or navigate your current partnership? Just some things to look out for. Without further ado, sort of dive in and talk about what we're going to cover today. I'll spend a little bit of time at the top, just 2 to 3 minutes probably, talking about who InflowCX is in case you've not heard of us, or if you have, maybe a little bit of a refresher. And then I'm going to pass it over to Richard Dixon. He's one of our senior support engineers who's going to handle our talk about leveraging common modules, as well as do a live demo. Have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. If you do have any questions along the way, please feel free to hit those in the chat box, and we'll answer them as best we can. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. So InflowCX, we're an organization that helps companies evaluate, deploy, and optimize their customer engagement technology and strategy. We're doing a Genesys specific training today because we are experts in Genesys, but we're experts in a lot of technologies out there. In fact, we really provide a vendor neutral approach to technology evaluation, as well as BPO and labor strategies and operational effectiveness as well. We can help customers make data-driven decisions utilizing return on investment or total cost of ownership, as well as business case modeling. And we've got expertise that spans, not just in core CCaaS, but everything that's sort of CCaaS adjacent, if you will. So AI, customer experience, WFO, unified communications, even BPO, just tons and tons of stuff out there. We also provide really high-touch implementation and managed services as well, which ensures an unparalleled customer satisfaction. Our average CSAT rate is actually 99.6 for customers that use our managed services, which is insane. In terms of some of our customers, we are very, very deeply focused on customer experience and contact center. And because of that, we're able to apply a lot of those lessons learned and kind of knowledge gained across a variety of different businesses of all shapes and sizes and different verticals. So whether you're a tech organization or retail organization or healthcare company or anything else, if you have a need for contact center or customer experience expertise, you can certainly think of us, and we've likely helped you there. This is just a sampling of some of our partners. I mentioned earlier, we are vendor neutral and vendor agnostic. Again, we've got a lot of deep knowledge, especially when it comes to Genesys, as we're doing an admin training today. However, if you have a need in terms of AI, self-service, agent assist, quality analytics, WFM, maybe more of a point solution or a standalone, we can certainly help out there. And, the space is really messy. Every time I log into the computer, I feel like there's a new .ai, .cx company out there. And, we can help you cut through a lot of that noise and be your guide and help understand, what vendors match with you really well. Without further ado, I will pass it over to Richard here to talk about leveraging common modules within Genesys Admin.
Hi, thank you for coming, everybody. We're going to go over leveraging common modules. One of the things that we typically do with it is to help track inside a flow where things have actually went. It is unfortunate that Genesys doesn't have a native system to be able to track where somebody made a choice within a flow. And building common modules allows us to track and troubleshoot, especially when there's something that goes wrong with a call. We can look back and see what the last thing happened. So we'll dive right on that. So working with common module flows, there's a couple of different flow types that we can do, but to use the common modules in the flow to build logic once and then reuse it in multiple other flows and other flow types. So like inbound calls, NQ calls, things like that. You can configure common modules to common module flow to use across all the flow types. You can create tasks to check whether or not a customer balance and then reuse that process in several call flows and chat flows. Common modules accept input data, return output data, and interact with calls. Incorporating common flows into flow design and process reduces the need for repetitive flow logic and multiple flows and decreases development and time and effort there. As a note, you want to reference common module flows in another published flow. You cannot delete the common module. So you have to be aware of that. If you reference it someplace else, just like certain other things, you have to be able to and expect it to go away. You cannot use a common module flow and another common module flow, so you can't use them within itself. The system uses third-party text-to-speech settings for the consuming flow. You cannot configure these settings in a common module flow. And then common module flows have their own lower size limit than any, so that they're the smallest flow that you can build. So shared common actions and data types with compatible flow types. So common module flows enable you to share common actions and data types across the flows. However, you cannot share flow-specific actions across different flow types. So if you select multiple flow types, the system limits the action data types to one that's the different flow types share. So if you set it up for inbound and NQ, it will limit to what they both share. So there are some times where there are actions that are only available in one versus the other. In this case, it will take only the ones that are common between both types. So you can send an auto reply action in email flows, but not in call flows. Therefore, if you select the common module compatibility for the email call flows, the send auto reply action doesn't appear. So you won't have that option in there if you choose both flow types. If you choose email flow compatibility, then the conversation actions will be available to email flow types appear in the common module flow. So if it's only one, it will offer everything available in that. If you select multiple types, it will limit that. So as far as versioning goes, architect snapshots for the common module into the consuming flow. To incorporate changes within the common module, you must republish the consuming flow. When you use a common module on another flow, Architect uses the most recent version of the common module flow. So if you publish a newer version in the common module and republish the workflow, it'll update those changes. To use an older version of the common module, first publish the consuming flow, then create a new version of the common module. The consuming flow continues to use the older version of the common module until you republish the consuming flow. To view the common module flow version, use the dependency tracking view within the version numbers. Oh, sorry, that jumped a little bit there. So prerequisites, this is just general prerequisites to making a flow. You'll need architect flow and add, edit, and view. And the following permissions for message routing, you'll need routing message, and then routing, queue, add, delete, join, and view. So to create a flow, from the architect homepage, click or hover above the flow menus and select the common module. Click the plus add to create a flow dialog box opens. In that, you'll have the option to the name field. So you'll want to enter a unique name for the common flow module. Optional, in the description field, add a short sentence or describe what the flow is actually going to do. Click the divisions, because they're division agnostic. Choose which one that you want it to be in. After that, under the compatible flow types, that's where you'll add types and make those choices. And then from there, you'll use the common flow. Click create flow, and then you'll be able to open that up and go from there. So we're going to do a live demo. Give me a moment as I pull it open on my screen and share out. Just making sure it's sharing my screen. So like I said, you'll click the add here. You'll be able to name it, put a description, then you can choose the different flow types, and you can have multiple flow types like we said. So if we want something with inbound call flow, and we're only going to use it within inbound call flows, that makes it easy because we'll have access to everything within inbound call flows as far as what we want. If we make it multiple, so like inbound call flow and let's say email, in this case, or a survey, we would be limited to the sharing of what modules are available for both. After that, you would click create flow after choosing the divisions that you want. We have one already built out here. And this is the one that we use in order to track how things happen within a system, so we can follow a call through every different section. We do have to add these individually to the sections that we want. But at the very beginning, we have get current participant data. So we type that out, so it makes it really easy to identify. From there, we're going to do task trail. So we want that to show up on the call flow itself. So when we look at the call ID and we start looking at the P data on the side there, it'll say task trail, and then we can follow the task as it goes through. From there, is the value empty or not? So we put, is it not set empty, comment original last task. Pull that out so you can see the whole thing. So it's not set or empty, and then we have comment out original last task. From there, is it empty? And then we put the task trail equals last task. If it is not, then we amend the original one. And what this does is allows it to put a caret in between each one. And what that does is allows us to see the flow a lot easier. I'll show you in an image here shortly of what it is going to look like after the results. From there, and both tasks here is going to be an update. So we want to update that data. And after that, we're going to exit. So this is what we use in order to help track down calls or how it flowed through. So if I want to see if somebody used a yes or no, or which path that they took when did they press 1, did they press 2, did they press 3 as far as options goes, this allows us to be able to view that. So we're going to jump over to inbound flow real quick. Let's see here. Let's go with this one real quick. So in this case, I want to be able to follow whether or not they took a Z training route or if they didn't. So what I would do here is I would go click this, go to toolbox, to common module. I would find the common module. In this case, it's going to be KB task trail. It'll show the last version, what the common task is here. And this is something that you'll want to update. So I'm going to put a literal in here. I'm going to put what it is. So in this case, it's going to be, did they call the number? And what that'll do is once somebody calls, if they called that phone number, or if they called from that original call number, it'll indicate yes, that it followed that. And then I'll know that it transferred and followed this path. So if somebody calls in and says, hey, I dialed this number and it didn't make it this direction, I can see that by the common module. Let me switch over views here in just a moment. And Kelly, if you want to share out again. So you can see here, this is an example of something in production. We have a lot of stuff blurred out on here, which I understand, but we'll kind of go through it. So let me drag this so I can see it a little bit better. So you'll have the standard call identifiers in there, along with, if you look at the participant data, you can see the flow where it hit the main flow first. So I know that's exactly where it hit. From there, it went to balance information. And from balance information, it went to balance information whisper set. From there, it went to an authentication. It looked up by phone number, was it successful or not? Because I put each one of those common modules in those places in order to track it as it's going through that flow. So if there was an issue, and let's say that it failed at the verify SSN, all that information after the verify SSN would be gone. It wouldn't have that information available there, and it would show me the last task that it successfully did before it ended that call. That way I can very rapidly identify where the problem is within a flow. That way I can get back to it and start troubleshooting from there. So this works really great for troubleshooting. It does take a little prep work ahead of time by putting those common modules in each individual places. So when you're building out your flows and when you're doing it the first time, if you have the ability to put those common modules in there, it will really help track down and troubleshoot those those exact places where we have problems, or where there might be a call fault, or if you're trying to troubleshoot something else, such as your own APIs are apparently working, you know that it went this far and that it stopped at that last API, we'll be able to see that by putting those common modules in there. So that's how we leverage them in order to continue from there. Any questions about this that I might be able to answer?
Doesn't look like it. Looks like you're very thorough, Richard.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, if you do have any questions, folks, please feel free to contact us after the webinar. We've got several ways you can get in touch: phone number, that email there, or simply go to our website. And don't forget to follow us for more resources just like this. We're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook, Twitter, or X, or whatever it's called now. But and we provide free tips just like this on a pretty regular basis. Enjoy March Madness, everybody. We will see you in a webinar near you soon.